I'm a girl, and this happened when I was 20 in the early 2000s. People used landlines, and cell phones were not widespread like they are today. This happened in a town about an hour away from Sacramento. My friend was house sitting for a family that her family was friends with from church. She was to house sit in the countryside just outside of town for a week. They had animals like cats, rabbits, a donkey, and a horse. The family also had dogs too, but the family took the dogs with them. My friend was in charge of feeding the animals and watching the place. She didn't have to get the mail daily because they had this metal lockbox style mailbox down their long driveway. They didn't have any neighbors for miles, just fields of alfalfa, cattle, and corn. So I guess the lockbox was just for safety. Towards the end of the week, she asked if I wanted to spend the night and keep her company, and I thought it sounded fun. I had moved out of my aunt and uncle's and got in my own apartment, so I told her I'd pick her up on the way there after I got out of work. We got there around 9:30 p.m., grabbing dinner on the way. We went into the barn first thing and fed the animals. It was late for their dinner, and they made their hunger known with their animal noises. We made sure they had water, then went inside. The house was this big ranch-style house. Single story, the living room was to the left as you walked into the home. There was a long hallway directly to the right of the entrance that led to where the bathroom and bedrooms were. Straight ahead was a dining area, and to the left of that was the kitchen entrance and a patio door. They did not have an open floor plan. In the kitchen on the opposite side was also a long hall that had several doors. My friend explained that the wife ran a daycare center out of the house. These rooms were play areas for the kids she took care of. We didn't bother going over there because we had no interest. We watched some TV, ate our leftovers, and talked about people we knew. As it got later, she turned on the house alarm and said she didn't like sleeping in other people's beds, so she had been sleeping on the couch, then offered it to me. She would sleep on one of the two huge recliners that reclined so far back it was almost flat. The chairs were really comfortable, so I just said I'd take the chair. I went and laid back in a chair with my blanket. We turned off the TV and were talking for maybe 20 minutes in the dark when the motion sensor floodlights started shining through the window, lighting up the room. Now I really have no idea why people in the country think it's okay not to have curtains or blinds because, to me, that's insane. We both got quiet and Amanda says, "Maybe it was one of the cats." Then we start hearing gravel crunch like a person walking across gravel in the parking area outside. My chair was closest to the window and I slid carefully down to the floor, clutching the stupid blanket the whole time. The floodlight timed out and my friend slid to the floor too. We laid on our stomachs in the dark, not knowing what to do for a minute, when we heard a loud bang, and all of a sudden the house alarm started blaring and the floodlights turned on again. It was so loud we covered our ears and I started to panic. I swear I have never been so close to peeing my pants in my life. I began crawling towards the keypad for the security. Because I've seen the commercials, there's a button you push and a person responds to you in case of an emergency, or at least sends the police. The main screen says, "Patio 1 of 2 open." Amanda starts to cry a little and hits the call assistance button on the pad and nothing happens. There's no assistance. I ask her where the phone is and she says there's a phone in the kitchen and one in the parents' room down the hall. So our choices are to go to the kitchen past the windows and next to one of the patio doors, or to go down the hall to the parents' room and use the phone there. I asked her where the other patio is and she said it was in the daycare part of the house. It was an easy decision. We go inside the parents' room and it's pitch black. I ask her where's the phone and she says, "I think we have to turn on a light." I really don't want to turn on a light but have no choice. I don't have a flashlight and I didn't bring my cell because I had limited minutes. It was a simpler time and Amanda didn't even get her own cell until after this happened. She turns on the light and we start looking around the room. Not only did these people not have curtains on any window, but they didn't even have closet doors. We see a golf club leaning against the wall by the bed. They probably have it instead of a baseball bat, which is what I had next to my bed at home. We figure if we hit someone with it, it's gonna leave a mark. She grabs it and we continue our search for the phone. Looking at the obvious places, we find a cordless phone stand minus the actual phone. The alarm is still raging, we have a light on, and the person who opened the patio door is bound to notice is all I'm thinking at this point. She asks, "Should we use the locate phone buttons?" I look at her and respond, "Yeah, if you want some strange guy coming in here with it and asking us if we were looking for something." I am getting mad that I'm scared and in this situation. Standing there knowing that we have to go to the kitchen, the house alarm stops. It gets country quiet. If you've lived in the country, you know what I'm talking about. There isn't another golf club for me to grab, so I make her go out first, flipping every light on and keeping the doors we pass in the hall closed. We double-check the security panel and it still says patio open. I hit the call button and it still doesn't work. Double-checking the front door is locked, we start for the kitchen. I tell her we have to check the patio near the kitchen and I grab a big knife that wasn't even close to being sharp from the kitchen. We check the patio door near the kitchen and it's locked. We turn on all the lights and grab the phone and dial 911. The phone isn't a cordless phone, it's one of the old ones with a cord attached on a wall. My friend is on the phone with a dispatcher telling her what happened, and I hear a whistle coming from outside the kitchen window. The thing people don't think about, because I didn't in thinking that it was safe turning on the lights, is while you have the reflection of the inside on the window, people on the outside have a clear view of you, unless you press your face against the window. I hear the whistle again. It sounds like someone trying to get someone else's attention kind of whistle, but I don't see anything outside, and I'm not pressing my face to the window to see if I'm the person they're whistling for. My friend is still talking to the dispatcher and is crying and saying she doesn't have the address to the house. She hands me the phone and I say, "Hello." The dispatcher lady, who sounds annoyed, tells me she needs an address to send police to. I ask that she trace the call and she says something like, "You're house sitting and you don't even know where you're at." Scared, angry, and overwhelmed, I hand the phone back to Amanda and start looking for something with an address in the kitchen. I'm looking in the junk drawer, on the counter, on the refrigerator, fully keeping an eye down the hall that has the daycare rooms, knowing that on the other side of one of those doors is a patio door that was opened. Amanda tells the lady that she doesn't pick up the mail because of their lockbox, and then a few seconds later removes the phone from her ear and stares at me with a blank face. I ask her if they're tracing the call because I cannot find anything with an address. Amanda says softly, "She said I hope the police find you in time," and hung up the phone. I was so scared and angry at the same time. We knew that there was people outside. We knew that the patio door to the daycare area was opened. We did not know what to do. We stood in the kitchen silent for what seemed like forever, but was probably 1 minute. I picked up the phone and dialed 411. I told Amanda that they would have the number to the police department. As calmly as I could, I explained what was happening to us. I included the 911 dispatcher and said we really needed the phone number of the town's police department. When we heard a huge metal bang outside the kitchen window by the patio door, it sounded like someone dropped something metal and heavy. Amanda started crying and I couldn't hold in my fear anymore and started crying too. Whoever was outside was gonna break open that patio door is what I'm thinking. The 411 operator said they were connecting us and would stay on the line with us after getting pissed at the 911 dispatcher on our behalf. A police officer answered the phone and the 411 operator started explaining what was happening to the police. Then they were asked to disconnect once we had an established connection. The police asked a few questions and we heard the whistle again outside and floodlights all around the house turned on again. I was too scared to look outside, and we had never turned on the patio light because we had to walk across the patio window to get to the switch. We told the policeman on the phone about the whistle and he said that there should be several policemen showing up shortly and to stay on the phone. We were outside the town limits and knew it might take a few minutes. Having an officer on the phone made me feel a little better, but I was still really scared. He told us that the police arrived and were coming up the drive. The policeman said to put down the phone and open the door, so I did. What I saw was a police pickup truck with spotlights flashing into the pastures that ran along both sides of the drive. 2 officers, not with handguns but with shotguns, walking slowly beside the truck as it came up the long drive. 4 officers approached the house asking us our names. One went to the phone and said they were here and hung up the phone. They ordered us to stay in the dining room and began searching the house. One by one they returned. The last one came back in through the patio door by the kitchen. He said he searched the barn and the horse scared him and the horse also looked spooked. He asked what other animals were in the barn. They told us that they didn't find anyone and that the daycare patio was not locked. There was, however, a broom handle in the door track to prevent it from being opened too far. I looked at the patio door that the officer entered in and saw there was not a broom handle in that one, then felt dumb because he just walked through it. They lectured Amanda about not knowing the address of the house she was supposed to be responsible for, and other stuff I don't remember. After finishing statements, they said they'd stick around and look more, and if we wanted to leave, we could. They could lock the bottom lock but not activate the alarm, and we were cool with that. We were out of there so fast. We got into my car and went to her mom's. So mentally exhausted, we fell asleep and I went to my office job the next morning. She said she really didn't want to go back to the house, but she had to feed the animals their breakfast. Her mom told her to take her sisters and she did. That afternoon she called me at work. She was really nervous and began telling me that when they went into the house, there were footprints lined in poop on the carpet. I said it was probably the cop that checked the barn. She said that she didn't know or pay attention. Also, she said that when they went into the barn to feed and water the animals in the morning, someone had tied all the rabbits' legs together in their hutches. They had 10 rabbits that the kids used for 4-H. Amanda then continues to say there was a note with the word "Lucky" scribbled on the back of a pizza coupon. She thought came from the refrigerator door because the flyer was missing a coupon. It took a while for them to untie the rabbit's legs, and Amanda asked her mom to find someone else from their church to finish the house sitting. She wasn't going back. She also told the officer what she came back to, but no one was ever caught and the police never called either of us to update us. I know everyone who has tried online dating has come across at least one creepy weirdo. I've had quite a few in my time. I have to also say though that online dating did me right because I met my wonderful boyfriend of 7 years on the same platform. So I guess it was worth it to wade through the creepers. So this was probably around 10 years ago, making me about 22 years old, and I am indeed a lady. I used OkCupid, and being that I'm a woman, I got lots of messages I'm not even hot, and I was drowning in dudes sending me real nasty messages either wanting to roleplay or hoping for a quick and dirty hookup. The guy that is the focus of this story, though, he messaged me and seemed really normal at first. We were chatting through OkCupid for maybe a day when he asked for my phone number. I told him that I like to talk online for at least a few days before giving out my phone number. I had to instate this policy for myself after playing it way too loose and winding up with a dude that messaged way too often, tried to call so many times, who also claimed he was psychic. Bro, if you're psychic, maybe you could see that I'm not interested anymore. So I tell this guy I'd happily give him my number after we talked for a few days online, if we were still jiving. He asks if he can add me on Facebook. I thought that was fine since it was more convenient for me to use their chat feature than the OkCupid one. Within literal minutes of accepting his friend request, I receive a text message from a number I don't know. It says something to the effect of, "If you don't want to give out your phone number, you shouldn't have it visible on Facebook to your friends list." I went and checked my settings and angrily discovered that the number Facebook prompted me to give them for authentication purposes that they claimed would not be visible was indeed visible to my Facebook friends. I was pissed at myself for not double checking, at Facebook for being sketchy assholes, and at this guy. If he had sent that exact message through Facebook Messenger, I wouldn't have been upset at all with him. I'd have thanked him genuinely for alerting me of the mistake, but it just felt skeevy to me that he knew I didn't want to text him yet, and his message felt really condescending, like, "You didn't want me to have this, but I found it on my own because you screwed up." I blocked him on Facebook and I texted him back saying thanks for alerting me to my mistake, but I'm no longer interested in talking to him. That's when the creepiness really started. He sent me a bunch of messages via text and through OkCupid. First, the messages were apologetic. "I'm sorry, I just thought you should know your number was out there. Please give me another chance. You're the only girl that has ever responded to any messages I sent. Cool, so you want me because no one else wanted you." There were a bunch like that, also reminding me about how lonely he was since his last girlfriend left him 6 months ago and took their newborn with her. Then the messages became angry. He was telling me that I was a bitch for rejecting him because he was just trying to show me that my number was there. He was saying if he didn't point it out to me, then gosh, maybe some scary wife-beater type of guy would have been the one to find it. So how dare I reject him for being nice and looking out for my safety? Then there were lots of insults, nasty slurs towards women, and sour grape stuff about how I was probably really fat in person. Then it got really pathetic and he sent the messages responsible for the title of the post. He basically said he was on OkCupid looking for a woman to get serious with because he has a kid now. He really has no idea how to care for his son, but he just loves him so much and really wanted a great woman by his side to help raise him when he had him. He told me how with all my babysitting experience I mentioned in my love of kids, that I would be a perfect candidate. It was just such BS that I didn't want to talk to him anymore over something so dumb. I should really reconsider because I'm not just rejecting him, I'm also rejecting his poor innocent 7-month-old son. I would have been the perfect stepmom for his son. I had just been ignoring the messages. Once he started going on about how he was basically shopping for a stepmom, I was just like, what the absolute hell is this BS? I just felt like that was so creepy. I'm a damn person. I'm not interviewing for an unpaid lifelong nannying bang-maid position. Not that that's how I view step-parents, but that's how he seemed to. I sent him a text saying I told him I was not interested and that I viewed his messages as harassment and that I would go to the police if he didn't stop. He sent one more message, something like, "I guess I'll just never find love then." Guess not, bro. At least not until you sort yourself out to realize that 1, shopping for stepmoms is not how to find love, and 2, messaging women hundreds of times after they've rejected you is not romantic, it's harassment. I'd like to end this by saying how beyond thankful I am to be in a relationship. I do not miss being single and dealing with crap like this at all. Also, of course, my boyfriend is my favorite human. I'm not just with him because I hate dealing with all the BS that comes with dating, haha. To the creepy guy that thought I would make the perfect stepmom for his infant son, let's not meet.